Shalom, I am Babsi, and today I will be reading from the book of Judges, chapter 8 and chapter 9 from the Tree of Life version. Now the men of Ephraim said to him, "What is this thing you have done to us, not calling us when you went to fight against Midian?" So they criticized him sharply. But he said to them, "What have I now done compared to you? Is not the gleaning of Ephraim better than the vintage of Abiezer? God has given into your hand the princes of Midian, Oreb and Zeeb. So what was I able to do compared to you?" Their anger with him subsided after he said this. Then Gideon reached the Jordan and crossed over. He and the 300 men with him were exhausted, yet still pursuing. He said to the men of Sukkot, "Please give loaves of bread to the people on foot with me, for they are exhausted, and I am chasing Zebah and Zalmunna, the kings of Midian." But the officials of Sukkot said, "Are the hands of Zebah and Zalmunna now in your hand? So why we should give bread to your army?" Gideon replied, "Therefore, when Adonai delivers Zebah and Zalmunna into my hand, then I will thresh your flesh with the thorns of the wilderness and briars." From there he went up to Penuel and spoke to them similarly. But the man of Penuel answered him just as the man of Sukkot had answered. So he spoke also to the man of Penuel, saying, "When I come back safely, I will tear down this tower." Now Zebah and Zalmunna were in Karkor, and with them their armies of about 15,000 men, all who were left of all the army of the people of the east. The fallen were 120,000 swordsmen. Now Gideon went up by the road of the tent, dwellers on the east of Nobah and Jogbehar, and ambushed the camp when it was of God. When Zebah and Zalmunna fled, he pursued them and captured the 2 kings of Midian, Zebah and Zalmunna, and routed the whole army. Gideon, son of Joash, returned from the battle by the ascent of Heres. He captured a boy from the people of Sukkot and questioned him. So he wrote down for him the officials of Sukkot and its elders, 77 men. When he came to the men of Sukkot, he said, "Behold, Zebah and Zalmunna, about whom you mocked me, saying, 'Are the hands of Zebah and Zalmunna already in your hand?' Why should we give bread to you, to your exhausted men?" Then he seized the elders of the city, and thorns of the wilderness and briars, and with them he punished the men of Sukkot. He also tore down the tower of Penuel, and slew the men of the city. Then he asked Zebah and Zalmunna, "What kind of man did you kill at Tabor?" "As you are, so they were," they answered. Each one looked like the children of a king. "They were my brothers, the sons of my mother," he said. "As Adonai lives, if only you had them live, I would not kill you." Then he said to Yeter, his firstborn, "Arise, kill them." But the boy could not draw his sword, for he was afraid, since he was still a youth. Then Zebah and Zalmunna said, "Rise up yourself and fall on us, for as the man is, so is his strength." So Gideon arose and killed Zebah and Zalmunna, and took the crescent ornaments that were on the camels' necks. Then the men of Israel said to Gideon, "Rule over us, you, your son, and your grandson as well, for you have delivered us from the hand of Midian." But Gideon replied to them, "I will not rule over you, nor will my son rule over you, and Adonai alone will rule over you." Yet Gideon said to them, I would make a request of you, that you would give me every man an earring from his spoil." For they had golden earrings, because they were Ishmaelites. We will certainly give them, they replied. So they spread out a rope, and each one of them threw an earring from his spoil. So the weight of the golden earrings that he requested was 1,700 shekels of gold, besides the crescent ornaments, the pendants, and the purple ropes that were on the kings of Midian, and besides the chains that were on the camels' necks. Gideon made it into an ephod and put it in his town Ophrah. But all Israel prostituted themselves after it there, and it became a snare to Gideon and his household. So Midian was subdued before Bnei Israel, and they lifted up their heads no more. The land had tranquility for 40 years in the days of Gideon. Jerubbaal, son of Joash, went and lived in his own house. Now Gideon had 70 sons of his own issue, for he had many wives. Also his concubine, who was in Shechem, also bore him a son. He called his name Abimelech. Then Gideon, son of Joash, died at a good old age, and was buried in the tomb of Joash his father, in Ophrah of the Abiezrites. But it came to pass, as soon as Gideon was dead, that Bnei Israel again prostituted themselves after their Baalim, and made Baal Berith their god. So Bnei Israel did not remember Adonai their God, who had delivered them from the hand of all their enemies on every side, nor did they show kindness to the household of Jerubbaal, namely Gideon, in accord with all the goodness which he had done for Israel. Now Abimelech, son of Jerubbaal, went to Shechem, to his mother's brothers, and spoke to them, and the whole clan of his mother's father's household, saying, Speak now in the ears of all the leaders of Shechem, which is better for you, that 70 men, all the sons of Jerubbaal, rule over you, or that a single man rules over you. Remember also that I am your flesh and bone. When his mother's brothers discussed all these words of his in the ears of all Shechem's leaders, their hearts inclined to follow Abimelech, for they said, He is our brother. So they gave him 70 pieces of silver from the temple of Baal Berith. Abimelech then hired idle and reckless fellows who followed him. Then he went to his father's house as Ophrah and slew his brothers, the sons of Jerubbaal, 70 men on top of one stone. But Jotam, the younger son of Jerubbaal, survived, for he hid himself. Then all the leaders of Shechem and all Beth Millo assembled themselves together and went and made Abimelech king at the terebinth of the pillar that was in Shechem. Now when they told Jotam, he went and stood on the top of Mount Gerizim, lifted up his voice, called out and said to them, Listen to me, O lords of Shechem, that God may listen to you. Once the trees set out to anoint a king over them. So they said to the olive tree, Reign over us. But the olive tree said to them, Should I stop yielding my oil that honors God and man, and go wave over the trees? Then the tree said to the fig tree, You come and reign over us. But the fig tree said to them, Should I stop yielding my sweetness and my delicious fruit, and go wave over the trees? So the tree said to the vine, You come and reign over us. But the vine said to them, Should I stop yielding my new wine, which cheers God and man, and go wave over the trees? Then all the trees said to the bramble, You come and reign over us. And the bramble said to the trees, If you truly are going to anoint me king over you, then come and take refuge in my shadow. But if not, let fire come out of the bramble and devour the cedars of Lebanon. So now, if you have acted in truth and integrity by making Abimelech king, and if you have dealt kindly with Jerubbaal and his household, and have done for him as he deserved, for my father fought for you, and risked his life, and delivered you from the hand of Midian. But you have risen up against my father's household today, and have slain his sons, 70 men on one stone, and have made Abimelech, son of his maidservant, king over the lord of Shechem, just because he is your brother. If you then have dealt in truth and integrity with Jerubbaal and with his household today, then rejoice in Abimelech, and let him also rejoice in you. But if not, let fire come out from Abimelech and devour the lords of Shechem and Beth Millo, and let fire come out from the lords of Shechem and from Beth Millo and devour Abimelech. Then Jotham ran away and fled, and went to Beer, and remained there because of his brother Abimelech. After Abimelech had ruled over Israel for 3 years, God sent an evil spirit between Abimelech and the lords of Shechem. So the men of Shechem dealt treacherously with Abimelech, in order that the violence done to Jerubbaal's 70 sons might come due, so their blood might be laid on their brother Abimelech who slew them, and on the lords of Shechem, who strengthening his hands to slay his brothers. So the lords of Shechem set up ambushes on the tops of the mountains, and they robbed anyone who passed by them along that road. So it was reported to Abimelech. Now Gaal, son of Ebed, had come with his relatives and moved to Shechem, and the lords of Shechem put their trust in him. When they went out into the field, they gathered grapes of their vineyards, trod them, and had a party. Then they went into the house of their God, ate and drank, and cursed Abimelech. Then Gaal, son of Ebed, said, Who is Abimelech, and who is Shechem, that we should serve him? Isn't he the son of Jerubbaal? Isn't Zebul his deputy? Serve the man of Hamor, the father of Shechem. But why should we serve him? Now, if this people were under my hand, then I would get rid of Abimelech. So he said to Abimelech, Muster your army and come out. When Zebul, the governor of the city, heard the words of Gaal, son of Ebed, his anger burned. So he sent messengers to Abimelech in deceit, saying, Watch out, Gaal, son of Ebed, and his relatives have moved to Shechem, and look, they are inciting the city against you. So now arise by night, you and the people who are with you, and lie in wait in the field. So it will be in the morning, as soon as the sun is up, you will rise early and advance on the city, and behold, when he and the people who are with him come out against you, then you should do to them whatever your hand finds. So Abimelech and all the people who were with him rose up by night and lay in wait against Shechem in 4 columns. Now Gaal, son of Ebed, went out and stood at the entrance of the city gate. Then Abimelech and the people who were with him emerged from the ambush. When Gaal saw the people, he said to Zebul, Look, people are coming down from the tops of the mountains. But Zebul said to him, You are seeing the shadow of the mountain, as if there were men. Then Gaal spoke up again and said, Look, people are coming down from the middle of the land, and 1 column is coming by the road of the diviner's oak. Then Zebul said to him, Where is your mouth now? With it you said, Who is Abimelech, that we should serve him? Isn't this the people that you have thrashed? Now go out and fight him. So Gaal went out ahead of the lords of Shechem, and fought with Abimelech. But Abimelech chased him, and he fled before him, and many fell wounded up to the entrance of the gate. While Abimelech stayed in Arumah, Zebul drove Gaal and his relatives out, so that they could not stay in Shechem. Now it came to pass the next day that the people went out into the field, and it was reported to Abimelech. So he took his people, divided them into 3 columns, and lay in ambush in the field. When he looked and saw the people were coming out of the city, he pounced on them and struck them down. Then Abimelech and the column that was with him rushed forward and stood at the entrance of the city gate, and the other 2 columns rushed on all who were in the open field and struck them down. So Abimelech fought against the city all that day, captured the city, and killed the people that were in it. Then he razed the city and sowed it with salt. Now when all the lords of Shechem's tower heard about it, they went into the vault of the temple of El-Berith. When Abimelech was told that all the lords of Shechem's tower had gathered there, he and all the people with him went up to Mount Salmon. Then Abimelech took an axe in his hand and cut down a branch from the trees and lifted it up and laid it on his shoulder. Then he said to the people who were with him, "What you have seen me do, hurry and do likewise." So all the people likewise, each cut down his branch and followed Abimelech. He laid them against the vault and set the vault on fire over them. So all the people of Shechem's tower also died, about 1,000 men and women. Then Abimelech went to Thebez, camped against Thebez, and captured it. But there was a strong tower in the center of the city, and all the men and women with all the city leaders fled there and shut themselves in, and went up to the roof of the tower. So Abimelech came to the tower and fought against it, and approached the door of the tower to burn it with fire. But a certain woman threw an upper millstone on Abimelech's head and crushed his skull. Then he called quickly to the young man, his armor-bearer, and said to him, "Draw your sword and kill me, lest they say of me, a woman slew him." So his young man thrust him through, and he died. So when the men of Israel saw that Abimelech was dead, they each departed to his place. Thus God repaid the wickedness of Abimelech, what he had done to his father by slaying his 70 brothers. Also all the wickedness of the men of Shechem God requited on their heads. Thus on them came the curse of Jotham, son of Jerubbaal. Amen.